Order at 7 p.m. on Monday, October 7th, 2024. And let's see, leading off, we have some consent agenda items. Let's see. Okay, it looks like the consent agenda contains minutes from the September 16th, 2024 board meeting and professional and co-curricular staffing recommendations as listed on the agenda. I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda item as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Tom.
I can second that.
Thank you, Megan. Let's see, Megan? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And we also have some personnel items that no vote is necessary. We do have a public comment tonight, so you're going to have to listen to me read this first.
You have a lovely voice. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. In accordance with School Board Policy 167.3, the McFarland School Board welcomes public comment during regular meetings from individuals who are present at the meeting, participating virtually, or have sent an email to the board president or superintendent. Participants are required to register to speak upon arriving at the meeting, provide their name, address, and any group affiliation before speaking, address only topics within the legitimate jurisdiction of the board, recognize that the board will not respond to comments during the meeting unless the item is on the published agenda, limit their comments to under 5 minutes or 600 written words, and of course, maintain decorum. We have with us tonight Meredith Huey. Whew. All right.
Well done.
Welcome.
Hello.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Meredith Huey, and I'm a mom of a first grader in Mrs. Manley's first grade class. And I'm also a member of Spartan Forward. You've heard from several of our members since August, but for others listening in, we are a recently formed political action committee and registered referenda committee with the IRS and state of Wisconsin. Our mission is simple, designed to bring awareness to the school funding crisis impacting McFarland, provide factual information to voters, and ultimately ensure this referendum is passed on November 5th. I wanted to provide public comment to share some of our upcoming activities until Election Day. Spartan Forward is in full support of you and the school referendum, and we're doing everything we can to move the needle for a yes vote in 4 weeks. One, with the help of WPEN, or WPEN, however everyone likes to say that differently, the Wisconsin Public Education Network, we've launched text message campaigns, one of which occurred today. These are designed to reach voters in a quick and easy way. We've sent over 8,000 text messages to date. In addition to informational materials such as yard signs, flyers, and swag you've seen in the community, we're preparing a mailer that will be sent to district residents. Even in 2024, we know one of the most effective ways to spread the word is via snail mail. Over 4,500 mailers will be in mailboxes next week. We've purchased a billboard that will be at the Stoughton and Beltline off-ramp. This is scheduled to be up as of today through November. As a reminder to the community, this and all other materials we've developed are paid for by Spartan Forward alone, which is entirely funded by donations. We can't thank those private citizens enough who've been so generous in those donations. The school district has not contributed to Spartan Forward funding and is an independent entity. And 4, we've launched Spartan Saturdays at the McFarland House Cafe and will continue to be accessible, visible, and vocal in our community to spread the word. We encourage you and all community members to stop by from 10 to noon every Saturday until the election. We want to have engaging conversations, hear other perspectives, and learn about what a yes vote means from our neighbors. Finally, I wanted to mention the importance of team and teamwork, and how it can have such a profoundly positive impact and make real change in our lives. Spartan Forward is a grassroots team we hope shows our community we can join together, work hard, and try to improve a small part of this world. McFarland is a village team, a community that consists of you, me, retired snowbirds, emerging adults, struggling single parents, and the neighborhood children. We fundamentally believe in public education for all and how it can benefit this team. Someone in our community supported our education when we were in kindergarten and when we were running that cross-country race that we may or may not have finished in high school and participating in student government. We now need to continue our youngest team members' dreams when they need it the most. We want to see our children have the opportunities they deserve to live long, happy, and successful lives, just like many of us have been given. It takes us, the voters on this McFarland team, to vote yes and ensure this continues to happen. We cheer each other on at the homecoming game, at the community festival 5K, and at pickleball. We hope that same encouragement and support is given to the classroom as well. Please vote yes on November the 5th for our team. We deserve it. And a special note of thanks today as we kick off the school week. This week is Wisconsin School Board Appreciation Week. Thank you, Craig, Tom, Bruce, Megan, and Megan, for your dedicated service, compassion, and leadership. Thank you.
Well said, I might add. All right, McFarland High School Student Report.
Hi. I don't know if you've gotten used to her yet, but Heather usually leads these meetings, but she couldn't be here today, so I'm filling in for her.
Thank you.
You're gonna do great.
All right. Can you see my screen? No. Oh, cool. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I don't think she can hear.
Okay.
Okay.
I got it. So this is the McFarland High School student report. And some highlights, mostly homecoming. Homecoming was a blast and we sold over 500 tickets this year and made over $5,000 of profit. We ended our homecoming week on October 4th with a pep rally. We watched homecoming court celebrate their victory with challenges. Every grade participated in the class cheer and musical chairs. And our juniors won dodgeball. The football and dancers duo definitely hyped up the crowd. It was awesome. And who could forget the amazing staff singing their hearts out in costume, which was Jenkins, Miss Shamer, and Miss Booth. They did great. And there was a homecoming parade last Sunday on the 29th. And it went throughout the community. There were tons of floats representing different businesses, clubs, and sports in the high school and the community. It was a great start to homecoming week. And last Friday, there was a good game against East Troy where we won 42-8. The homecoming court presided over the game, that's who's in the picture, and cheered the team to victory. Then there was the dress-up days, and we had a fun theme every day last week and today. Last Monday, was Jersey Day. Then Tuesday was Tie Tuesday or Fancy Day. Wednesday was Dress Like Your Favorite Band or a class music genre. Thursday was Rhyme With No Reason. Friday was Spartan Gear. And today, Monday, was Pajama Day. Coming up, there's the National Merit Scholarship qualifying test tomorrow, where 11th grade Spartans who signed up for it will take the test at 8 a.m. to hopefully earn a $2,500 scholarship. Then athletics update. Girls tennis had a very good week of practice and prep for the upcoming WIAA subsectional and sectional this week. Good luck to all our tennis players. Girls golf had a nice showing at the WIAA regional. Unfortunately, we did not have any golfers advance, but congratulations to all the girls golfer and Coach Dirk and Zins for another great season. Football had an awesome homecoming win over East Troy. Volleyball had a nice conference win over Portage this week. Girls swimming had a conference win over Baraboo. Boys soccer had a busy week with a conference win over Reedsburg and a non-conference win over Lakeside and a tough non-conference loss over Madison East on Saturday. Cross country had a very good showing at the Platteville Invite this weekend. The girls team took 5th place, and congratulations to the boys team for taking 1st place. MHS Dance had a very busy week with a variety of homecoming activities. They did a great job with our guy-girl dance and were very busy with over 140 mini palms for the pregame of our homecoming football game and had a wonderful halftime performance at the homecoming game. And tomorrow at 7, there's Whiteout to Wipe Out Cancer, which is hosted by McFarland DECA. And it'll be at the girls' volleyball game. And it's an annual event to raise funds for the UW Carbone Cancer Center. And of course, this week is Wisconsin School Board Appreciation Week. So thank you so much for all you do for our school district. Thank you.
Excellent job.
Nice work.
You got through it. Way to go.
Yeah.
I would just like to say, for all the organizers of Homecoming Week, you did a fantastic job. And if you haven't had a chance to go to the McFarland School Store, the DECA Club, and I think Spartan Manufacturing has a lot of stuff in there. I went in there on Friday. I was blown away. I got the most comfortable hoodie, or not hoodie, but a sweatshirt, and they have magnets. So, like, super impressed with all the cool new stuff they have in there. So definitely check it out.
Yep.
They made all the headbands for the mini palms as well.
Oh,
I
did
saw
they?
those. Yeah, the mini palms performance was, like you said, so adorable, and there were so many.
Yes.
Like, I think when my kids were doing it, there was like 20.
It was a lot bigger than last year,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's a good sign.
awesome.
They do a great job.
And we appreciate all the parents reading the email about going on the track. So that way we kept the stadium seating handicap accessible.
Yes.
There you go.
And thank you to Miss Megan Fessler for doing 1st and 10 McFarland.
I tried really hard in the section where I was. I
No,
could hear your
you-
section.
you did
I couldn't
good.
hear ours. Thank you.
You did good.
Did well.
I'm sorry, you did well.
Any
I
other,
would like to point out, I do still have COVID brain. It is a thing. So
any
I'm
other
still a little
questions
foggy.
here? Comments? Any-
No, just another comment. Again, the things that you do are phenomenal. Yeah, these are things that just happened within the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, our student body is fully engaged. And again, I just want to thank the student leadership and the staff.
Yeah.
Because I know they require advisors for a lot of these things, so that wouldn't happen. I know that's additional time from your main role, so thank you for everything that you do.
I think I saw pretty much all of the principals out working working security at the homecoming game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I think it makes a difference, too.
Oh, I have no doubt that
Doesn't hurt.
it was a beautiful crowd,
Yeah, it
great
was.
crowd, beautiful
Yes.
night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
rest of your
Thank
night.
you.
See you in a couple weeks.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Have a good night.
You bet.
You too.
Okay. We have some information. Wisconsin, looks like WEVA update. Mr. Mooney.
WEVA update, yes. Again, the WEVA board meets monthly. They always meet virtually. And just to sort of summarize what happened in the past month, the Family Council, which I've talked about in the past, they have a monthly virtual meeting, and they have a Family Council leadership. They represent all the parents out there, and they're the spokespersons for the families. 4K is a new program this year. As of mid-September, there are 17 students enrolled and close to 100% daily participation. Now, these are little ones that require their parent or another adult to be with them, and the parents love it. And they've been identified as their children's learning coaches, just like all K-5, K-6 parents have. They are implementing, they're focused on implementing a play approach and addressing the students' emotional, intellectual, and social growth. So it seems to be very developmentally appropriate. Stride, the corporation that oversees WEVA, they provide incentives for meeting specific metrics such as parent satisfaction, graduation rate, student performance, et cetera. And with each of our meetings, we do have someone from the Stride office, William Johnson, attend. He's from the executive office, and he's there as a resource person. So anytime questions come up about the national office, he's right there. And he provides guidance to WEVA at the same time, especially the board. WEVA conducted their annual staff development conference up at the Dells. I think it was late August, and that was highly successful. But most importantly, each year they have a back-to-school bash. It's their family picnics. And I think they have 11 or 12 sites across the state. It's the same day. And all their families are invited, and they can switch locations if they want. I talked to a couple that were from up north, but they came down here because they were visiting relatives that weekend. So teachers and staff attend the bash that's closest to their home base, really. It's a great opportunity for kids to meet their teachers face-to-face, and the parents also. I attended the one at Winnequa Park here in Madison, and I would say it was well-attended. Met several of the teachers, met quite a few parents and kids. And just as of note, I asked kids and/or parents why they picked WEVA. Why pick virtual learning over the brick and mortar building? You know, quite a few of them identified because there was ongoing bullying in their previous school. Yep. You know, which is really disheartening that bullying takes place, and in their eyes, nothing has ever changed. You know, I think there's a lot of things that go on in the background that parents don't see, but that's the way it is.
That was an issue at the first
Yes.
graduation.
Yep.
I mean, that's always been an issue with
Yeah.
the enrollees, in the virtual school.
They wanted to be more involved in their child's education, and parents felt that if they're their learning coaches, they have to be. Now, as the kids get older, they're still their coaches, but they don't require as much direct support. They wanted to be more involved with their child's education program. The WEVA schedule is more flexible to their family schedule. They feel they're highly supported by the teachers. And again, WEVA has 5 schools. The Insight provides a lot of support for those that require additional special needs, for example. And sometimes it's just their friends that have joined WEVA, and they've decided to join WEVA also because of the things that they hear about them. And their annual summit is at the end of October. So next month, I'll be reporting out on sort of an update on what's happening with Stride and WEVA specifically here. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Tom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the only one other thing. Last week, when Sarah Cutler, she handed out the Wisconsin Virtual Academy's annual report. If you haven't had time to take a look at it, I encourage you to take a look at it. There's a wealth of information in here, both positive and, definitely room for improvement also. But once again, from my perspective, and I've always said this throughout my career, no one model fits the needs of all kids. Different kids require different approaches. And I think brick and mortar, we certainly offer a lot of different choices, but they also offer choices. So that concludes my
Any
report.
questions or comments? If not, we will move on. Board meetings, the self-review results. Mr. Tarnitzer, do you want to lead us through this?
I do. I would love that opportunity. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
You have, board members, you have the handout that's on the screen in front of you. So just a reminder to the public, a few times a year, the board members conduct a self-assessment on how the board meetings are going, things that are going well, things that they would like to work on, and set some goals to improve from that. So this is a summary of those results that I compiled, so I'm just going to review those with you all today, and then the board can have a discussion about things you might want to work on. A lot of strengths here, and the way we define strengths is that 80%, so that's 4 out of 5 of you, indicated that this is fully achieved. So real strong areas here. That includes our agendas, having those that they're established, they're provided in a timely manner, and that's really courtesy of the hard work that Angie does preparing that. And of course, Craig and I also get together on the agenda a little bit and prepare that. The other part about the packets, similar things. You have the materials, it's comprehensive, it's sufficient. That was something that was mentioned, that you have those things, the key facts that you need. And it's provided in a timely fashion. So these have been ongoing strengths. As you can see in parentheses, I like to note changes over time. In terms of board preparation, feeling that board members are coming prepared, having looked at the materials in advance, seeking clarification, the kind of the idea of avoiding surprises at a board meeting, making sure questions get answered when possible in advance of the meeting so people are prepared. People participating, about having the right people there to participate. I know that's something we've been working on, and that was an area of strength that you noted. In terms of when administrators are present, feeling that they're adequately prepared to address topics as well, and that we're focusing on key goals and priorities. That is really a key one, I would say, out of all of them. We can do great things, have great board packets, and have the right people there, but if we're not talking about the right things, it's not great. So that was a strength that you mentioned, that we're focusing on our strategic goals and priorities. In terms of public comment, feeling that things are working well from that standpoint. We're finding public to be more and more engaged. We've had many more public comments in recent meetings, and that's been really welcomed and appreciated. And that when there is something that comes up in public comment that requires follow-up, that there's always follow-up is necessary. Often that's not the case. A lot of times people just want to share their viewpoints with you. In terms of common goals, feeling that, if a community member was to look at that district, feeling like the leadership team is committed. As you look at all the board meetings together, kind of that we're all working on a purposeful goal, with the meetings being excellent evidence of that. Respectful participation by all members, board members, community members, that's a real strength. And administration follow-up, that if there's some issue that comes up, a board member feels like we need more information, we'd like to know more, happy to share that. We've had recent presentations, thinking of Mr. Jacobson's presentation recently, and that was real high quality. Those are the examples of things that are noted. In terms of other comments, people really commented. 4 out of the 5 of you took, on an open-ended question, took time to acknowledge that the meetings are mutually respectful, even when we disagree. And I think it's important. One of the things this board has been trying to work on is, making sure that when we do disagree, that we voice that. And, sometimes you feel like you don't want to make anybody feel bad. We are all very nice people. But it's okay to disagree and do so respectfully. Members being well prepared, as I mentioned, and feeling that Craig does an excellent job running the board meetings and facilitating. In terms of recognition, just some feeling, this is where we start. If there's at least one person that said partially achieved, that's how you make it on this list. And that was the case for this one, which is feeling that we could do a little better job recognizing students, staff, and community members in our meetings. So I think there's some idea about having a variety, and I would say staff members is probably one that people would call out. And then, and we can talk about these more, of course. I'm just trying to lay the foundation for you. And procedural issues. One of the things that comes up over and over, both here and in comments, and is on our to-do list, most likely for our next board work session, is to go over the Robert's Rules of Order, make sure we just have a good understanding of parliamentary procedures. Sometimes we can be, the word that comes to my mind is clunky. I'm not sure if that's the word that was used, but procedural hiccups was in there. So sometimes we're just a little bit not sure of some of the steps, like if we, change a motion and those kind of things.
All you need to do is attend one state convention.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
I do it over and over and
Over
over
and over and over, and the parliamentarian is a big part of that meeting.
Yeah. Wow. Sounds very exciting.
Yeah.
That's sarcasm. Sometimes some of the open-ended comments, sometimes feeling that we can be a bit repetitive, and that doesn't necessarily add to the topic. Making sure that everyone weighs in and shares their rationale. Don't have to speak for a long time, just make sure that you share your thinking. And I think that's something actually the board does very well, but could always do better. And speaking into the microphone was another thing that you pointed out that we could do a little better job. So that's kind of the information I wanted to share with you, but I welcome discussion from you on things you noticed, would like to elaborate on, maybe some areas of focus that you'd like to set moving forward.
Anybody?
I noticed most of the things that were not the same as February were what I would see as improvements. So that is good, except for the recognition piece. But otherwise, we improved on those parts. That's good.
And I think the recognition part over the years has improved greatly. And I think just like communication between board and a council and board and staff, it just lends itself to making sure that you show your appreciation for all the hard work around us.
Yeah. And I think, recognizing staff is very important.
Nice job, Tom.
I think, one thing that we pride ourselves in this district is we operate as teams. There are different types of teams within a building, across buildings. And, I think it's good to recognize individuals, because some individuals go above and beyond. We also want to recognize those individuals that have gone sort of from down here up to the next level, because that's a big jump for some of them. But just as important, I think we should be recognizing whole teams. Because without the team concept, we have a council, we have our board, we have the leadership teams, we have PTO out there, and they all play a pivotal role in the success of our students and how smooth our districts run. So I guess what I would like to add here is recognizing teams of people, not just individuals.
Have we ever done anything with meetings where we invite, whether they're team leads or, I don't know, specialty members, I guess you could say, to come and chat about what they do in a school board meeting? So we can help educate the community on, like, the day in the life of a team lead or things like that?
That's a great
Nothing
idea.
that open-ended.
That's really nice.
Because, I have children in schools, and if I wasn't friends with Angie Bazan, I would not know what goes on in the school. It might be something fun to do.
I think that's a great idea.
I think years ago, we would have different departments
Yeah.
come to the board meeting and do like a 15-minute presentation, like the reading group.
Right.
Or the language arts group, or whatever. Special ed would come, people services would come. And I found those very useful. I would still find them more useful, because I'm not 100% sure what they're doing in the building right now. And I know things have changed, and I'm sure it's for the better. But I think as ambassadors to the community, I think it would be in our best interest to have a better understanding of what's going on in the buildings.
I know as a teacher, I would have groaned at having to do that.
That's a catch,
Like
right?
the last thing I want to be doing on a Monday night. I'm trying to grade papers and I've got to go to the school board meeting and sit there. But I do say, we could almost do it virtually or whatever. It's
Absolutely.
kind of neat.
That's true.
It's a good idea.
And it can be, it doesn't have to be a full presentation.
No.
A Q&A would suffice.
It would also be nice to have it so that you could you're done and get out. Because they have work to do at night.
But
Yeah.
They could zoom in, too.
Actually, I would love a TikTok. I'm just kidding. And then we can plaster it
Great
throughout all the
ideas.
schools.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
But I think also, as we're talking about the future of our district, class size, for example. What does it mean if class sizes increase significantly?
Different topic.
How does a homeroom teacher handle that. I
That'd
know
be a
what
great
research,
idea.
I know what research states as far as the range of class size would be beneficial versus the cutoff, but I'd like to hear more from the practitioners. Yeah. Why is it that adding 1 or 2 more kids creates more of a challenge in the classroom? Because it's not only the academics that they're addressing, it's the social, emotional, all that now. So,
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
I like those ideas.
They do wear many hats. Okay, anything else?
am I speaking into the microphone okay?
I think so.
Yes.
You were very
It appeared
deliberate
as
there.
though you were. Anything else?
No.
Moving along?
I would just ask one more thing. And I think it would be, I'd be interested to know your perception sometime on how the board functions. Because we each come from a different perspective, but you're sort of the catalyst and the facilitator for us. Yeah, what's your impression as a full board here? What can we improve upon? Not what we think we can improve upon, because sometimes we're biased. But maybe for a future board retreat. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's true, because we do, this is our self-assessment, and oftentimes there's, for assessments, there's feedback from the people, like the 360 feedback.
Right.
So that would be kind of interesting.
Yes.
Angie and Aaron's opinions, anonymous.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be good.
Anonymous
good one.
post.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be good.
Be happy to
Okay,
do
then we
Thank
are,
you, Aaron, for keeping this on our agenda.
that. Yeah.
it's a good idea.
Good. It's a good model, I think,
Yep.
It
to
is.
show for all of us the importance of reflection.
Next
Yep.
is the joint village board and school board letter to legislatures regarding funding.
So you have, this draft letter for your review. It's not quite ready for public consumption yet as we, go through this. So this letter, just to set the purpose for all of you and for the community, is one of the things that in our collaboration with the village we've really been discussing is the need to make sure that our state legislature knows the impact that their funding decisions are having on communities and schools. And so what this letter does is makes it very clear that, at least in the case of McFarland and likely in many other communities, but we're going to speak for ours, that the insufficient state funding, inadequate state funding for public schools has had a significant impact on our taxpayers. They're frustrated. They want something changed. And so this letter speaks to that, and it's meant to be addressed or signed by both boards, both the village board and the school board. They'll be discussing it. The village board will be discussing it tomorrow night. What it also includes, in addition to talking about the insufficient school funding, how it has not kept up with inflation, and the many districts, including ours, that are going to referendum, is about how what they end up doing by putting this on the local taxpayer is dividing communities, creating friction. And it uses the results from our survey that we sent to the community on possible referendum options as a way to support that, the evidence, I guess, to support that it's not just us that feel this way. This is what we're hearing. And so it includes an overview of the survey, some themes, including the need for increased state funding, opposition to frequent referendums, advocacy and policy change, as well as the impact on homeowners and the community. Those are some themes that came through from the feedback from the community, not from us. And we also pulled out any comment that referenced state funding. So that was included in there. There were many there. I highlighted 14 out of that I felt were particularly poignant, very direct, very clear about what they were saying. Things like, if the money was taken from the state, then get it back there instead of bleeding out the community. These are the things. I'm supportive of a referendum as long as the state won't own up to its responsibilities. So people were very clear and very direct in many ways, and we're passing that along. with the hope that it will influence our legislature. That's something that our community has been saying as well, is we get it, what are you doing about it? And now I think we're hearing not just what are you doing about it, but what can we do with you to advocate for change. So the discussion part of the purpose of this is, are there any things as you're looking at it, and I don't know how much time you've spent reading through it, are there things that you would recommend changing or, adding to this letter?
I think the letter is just fine. The frustrating part is that I don't think there's anything new in it to these legislators. I think they have a pretty thorough understanding of, the consequences of their actions. And maybe you just have to let them know by your vote.
I think the one thing that is different, well, first of all, I thought the letter was written great.
Yeah.
And I applaud everyone's need to put those comments in. Those are really powerful. I question whether or not they've received any written comments directly from some of their constituents. Probably left things, maybe on email or on their voicemail, but this is pretty strong. Yeah, coming from
Yep.
two boards within the same municipality saying, we have a problem, you have a problem. Let's fix it finally.
I will say, I really appreciate the fact that you're sending it to the Joint Finance Committee, because as we look at the representatives for our area, our representatives are already voting to support public schools, but members of the Joint Finance Committee and other areas that are more so looking towards the privatization of education. Like, the Joint Finance Committee has to hear what we're saying, so thank you for including them.
Well, and that goes to Tom's point, right?
Yeah.
Like, we might not be sharing to people who don't already know the issue, but if it's, sending it to new, fresh people, we need to hear it. Yeah, that's great.
I thought it was outstanding. And were there any comments in there that said, oh, the state's doing a great job? I don't think there was, were there?
No.
No, and I think that's important to state. There was like, these were unprompted, you had that written in there. But there's like one after another just kind of ripping on what's going on. And I'm just really proud that, I know in the past, we talked about, people are being surveyed out, they just done so many surveys. Here you actually use the survey and then said, now we're going to use it for something else. And I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really wonderful.
Well, and, as both of you having been a part of the joint group, this really came from President Clow
It was,
and
yes.
her leadership saying, you've got something here that may speak to the legislature, and not only will our two boards, could we come together with a common message, but we're using the message representing the voice of our constituents, so.
And did we mention,
Yeah.
did you mention that in the letter, or who, was that mentioned? This was not the plan initially. It just
No.
literally came out of that, just spontaneously, and you just realized.
Yep.
That's really, I think, very powerful.
I think so.
Kudos.
Yep.
Megan, you talked about the Joint Finance Committee. Would there be any benefit to doing something on video and sharing that with them?
That's a great question. I do have a very special connection within the Capitol, so I might reach out to her and see what her thought may be on it.
Because I think if we did a joint video, we could get comments from the public citing some very similar comments. And those are their constituents.
Or even, do they hear public comment at the
They
Joint
do.
Finance Committee? You could have a representative from each of the boards go and present it too.
Sounds like we should bombard them with any mode of communication we can.
Well, and I think, and I'm not the most politically savvy person, but I will say that even when people support that something needs to change, it's important to have it up in their priority list, because there's many things that they support, and there's only so much time you can pay
Yep.
to any one topic. So letting people know, I know you support this, this needs to be something you're fighting for, not just, yep, if a bill comes, I would support it, that you're actually leading change and speaking on the behalf of your constituents.
Well, actually, one of the senators for McFarland is on the Joint Finance Committee, so that would be a good conversation to have
Sister.
with her. Yeah.
Could be helpful.
I know her personally, so I can reach out too.
And we
You
talk
are the
about public education.
You are the legislative.
I am the
liaison.
legislative liaison.
Yes, you are.
And Aaron and I do have a meeting with Representative Stubbs.
With
Yep,
who?
next week, Representative Stubbs.
Okay.
Good,
And she reached out to us,
awesome.
which is
Nice.
fantastic.
We keep talking about public education, and I heard it here tonight also, we want the legislatures to support public education, but more of the money is going to private education. Has anyone ever done a compare and contrast? This is what we get from public education. This is what we get from private education. This is what we don't get from private education. This is what we don't get from public education. Yeah, I question if anyone has a thorough understanding of the differences or the benefits of either.
I think in a lot of cases, it just comes down to choice. They want to have a choice. They want students and parents to have a choice of where they're being educated. And this all happens without a thorough understanding of the differences between public education and private, or charter, or virtual.
Yeah, but I guess I would go beyond that. I think it's more than choice. I think the vision is to decrease public education, increase private education.
Well, the funding would support that.
Absolutely.
Well, not only funding, but testing and, special ed. There's so
Requirements.
many different things, and that's where,
Yes.
yeah, they can talk about that, Craig, that it's a choice, but then make both choices equitable with each other, so that there really is a choice. And we're not doing that. We're not even close.
From
Well,
states.
you have a federal, presidential election coming up, and you hear a lot about eliminating the Department of Education. Wow. That's a pretty big deal, if you ask me.
Well, Wisconsin is the leaders in school choice. I mean, we were the first with Milwaukee, and I think, one of the things that kind of getting to what Bruce is saying is, it's one thing to offer choices, but then the expectations are different between them in terms of the state standards being followed, the requirements for accountability with statewide testing,
And
the
licensing.
requirements with the licensing, meeting the needs of students with disabilities.
And so just so we're clear, those accountabilities don't exist in private schools.
Correct.
Right.
They're not
So
required
it's-
to.
Just making that clear for the
Yes, I see.
people listening.
But, being the liaison to the WEVA board, as a board, as a district, we hold them accountable.
Yes.
They have
You
to
know,
follow state.
And
State
they've made
rules.
some really good changes, improvements, I should say. Somehow we have to bridge all those together.
That's a difference with a public charter.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Than a private charter.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It doesn't, the WVA schools don't feel like a private choice, because they were,
Correct.
so,
Yeah, it's a public.
in the
incentive.
same way, so it's like that. Well, I appreciate the leadership here.
Yes, I will
so-
pass that on to President Clown as well.
Thanks for what you've done. This is great. That
Yes.
letter is-
It's a good start.
We'll also have, it'll be interesting, there might be other ideas that come out of the Dane County Consortium.
I suspect so.
Tomorrow night.
Yep, we meet tomorrow night.
That are specific to this idea.
Anything else on this?
Nope.
Just a big thanks to everyone that's worked on it.
Yep.
Superb. District Administrators Report.
Few things to share. Obviously, we've talked a lot about homecoming, and just want to, special thanks to Angie Bazan, who is here, and the Student Council for their leadership. it takes being in this building to really understand what it all involves. And there's a ton of work and a ton of kids and a ton of pressure and a lot of last minute things from, you know, ticket sales online not working and
That wasn't I saw that
Yeah.
email come through and I
Yeah.
was like,
it's a lot of,
We still sold 575 tickets.
yes.
Well handled. Well handled.
575 tickets. That is unbelievable. I know when I saw the pictures, and that was just a sampling of pictures, it was just really impressive to see the variety of students. I think that's belonging. That's where kids feel like, this is my school. So wonderful events. It was really great, and from the parade on through. Wanted to recognize that the class of 2024, in relation to CTE, had a new record for industry-recognized certifications. So as a result of the work, our amazing CTE teachers and Penny Thompson, 82 students from last year's graduating class earned one or more certifications. So that's preparing them for their future career path. So, you know, Microsoft, Sawblade, whatever that is. Auto service excellent, I'm sure it's great. Youth apprenticeship, construction, nursing assistant, all of those things. Just, you talk about being career and college ready, that's a great example.
We are such on the cutting edge.
Yep, it's really amazing.
I hope, again, the public recognizes, we have twice as many kids enrolled.
Yeah, and youth
It's just
apprenticeship.
amazing what
Well, I
this little
think in the
school can
last
do.
probably decade and a half or so, that entire department has just blown up. It's amazing. I don't know as a fact that there aren't better DECA organizations and CTE organizations out there, but I'd put ours against anyone.
Well, it
Just-
wasn't an accident that the state superintendent came and visited us last year.
That's right.
But just to get those certifications, there's a lot of work that gets involved in that. There's a lot of logistical work and a lot of preparation, so.
That's just one difference between private education and public education.
Good example.
The opportunities we provide to kids.
That's true. We had a very generous donation, want to acknowledge, from the McFarland Youth Softball Association, donated for the high school athletic program to purchase uniforms for the high school softball program. Those are those things that often go
Wow.
unnoticed, so.
Yes. Yeah.
That's no small deal.
To
Uniforms and equipment are not
Yes.
inexpensive these days.
It's a good example.
That's
Of the
fantastic.
community
Yeah.
supporting our students, student athletes. The high school has also been named to the Advanced Placement Honor Roll for last year, called the Silver School. So the criteria for this recognition are at least 40% of the graduating cohort from last year took at least one AP exam during high school. 25% or more of the graduating cohort scored a 3 or higher on at least one exam. And 2% or more of the graduating cohort took 5 or more AP exams during high school. So at least one of those exams was taken during 9th or 10th grade, so that students they're spreading that AP experience out across their grades instead of just focusing on junior and senior year. So thank you to our high school AP teachers, Kim Wink, who does a ton of work organizing those exams. That is pretty impressive. So that's something to be commended. Want to recognize Carrie Roberts, who really orchestrates, leads, organizes she is our Employee and Financial Services Director, and she organizes our vaccination clinics for staff. And so we just had the flu shot and COVID booster clinic. 149 staff members, including yours truly, received the flu shot, and 113 received a COVID booster. And at least one staff member was unable to work the next day, and that would be me.
Who was that?
That's me. I took it a little harder than I wanted to. So.
time it to have, wasn't professional development? No, it was the day after, right?
It was the state conference, so
Yeah.
I virtually participated in the state conference.
no.
It's not about me, it's about Carrie Roberts, and what a great thing. for our staff, to keep them healthy and provide that convenient right here in the buildings, each building.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Of course, tonight, we have people at Timberley, sixth grade is at Timberley, so,
Oh,
yep.
I hope a rat doesn't fall on someone's head. Wasn't it a rat that fell on a little
I
girl's,
don't-
a girl's head? Yeah.
I remember a rat falling on someone's head. I think the story may have.
It was the year Cooper went, and a girl was in the shower, and I think,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, fell on their head, fell down near them, and
it was
scampered
great.
away.
It was
Yes.
hilarious.
Yes, there is some
Not if
some
you were the
video of
one.
people chasing a
The
mouse.
next morning at breakfast,
a mouse, a
That was
cute
one
little
popular
mouse.
little human. Oh, it
But
was a mouse, that's right, not a rat.
yes, thank you.
Quite a
This
difference.
is a really good example of how
Things just get
sometimes
bigger with time.
middle school stories grow.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's so much work. The sixth grade team, it's just amazing what they do. And of course, Brett and Jamie as administrators and all of their support, making sure that all of our students, including our students with special needs, are able to fully participate. It is a beautiful thing and a ton of work and a great learning experience for outdoor education at its best.
I don't know that there's ever been anything more popular than Timberley ever in any of the schools. There's never a bad thing
Yeah, it's
comes
an
up about
adventure.
that.
Can non-parent chaperone?
Well, technically, yes, but they have to turn people away. because
Oh,
of
okay.
their
I bet.
Because I loved it.
So,
Yeah,
yes,
same.
I'm sure a board member could
Probably
have
sneak
special
on there.
privilege.
Okay.
I
Boy.
wanted to thank John Maniaci. So I don't know if you realize what he does. He well, many things that he does, but one of the things he does for our seniors is he provides free senior photos. And he's done that since 2019. And I just see it in the, Zach Springer, our wonderful school social worker here, always says, hey, get this word out, people, if you're interested. But I thought it's nice that we should acknowledge John and that he does that for our students.
A full-blown senior picture package must cost nowadays.
Yeah,
100?
At least hundreds.
like 500.
500, 600.
We actually had a graduate of McFarland High School do Cooper's, and it was like $600, but he was amazing.
I don't know how kids can, all the families can't afford that, I wouldn't imagine.
That's exactly why John
What a
does
great
it.
service.
He's one of the
I've seen
biggest hearts
some
I know.
packages that are like $1,500.
That's exceptional.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably because
it
he's
is
from
wonderful.
Tosa.
All right,
that's great
and
recognition there.
I have some pictures to share. So you have some class, they're doing some letter writing with their, writing letters with candles. Creating a little ambiance there. It's not, I don't think that's real fire. But kind of a neat activity for kids doing their writing. And the high fives, these huge hands of high fives that are, I think they're scary, but people like them. High Five Friday, kind of a fun thing at CEPS. And, fifth grade orchestra outside. They have some really cool stands now for their cellos. It's really neat. Nice large group of fifth grade orchestra.
That orchestra program is taken off as well.
Yes.
That was the first the first year I was on the school board, that was my first initiative, was to start the orchestra program. And
Yeah.
it was very small to start.
It was. It has grown. It continues to grow. Safety
there they are.
Patrol. They do such a great job. They are really fun if you ever get a chance to see them. They take their job very seriously.
yeah.
Very seriously. I think the last couple of years they've had a record number of people interested. Just one dress-up day, but just a reminder, the other schools do some dress-up too. You have the middle school. Each grade level had a different theme on that day, and 8th grade was the Barbie dress-up theme. So their student council leads that.
Are there any pictures of Ken?
That's all the pictures that I have, but I'm sure there are.
I loved the Barbie movie.
That was fun. Middle school cross-country team, beautiful day, having a great time. A lot of pride.
Use an old uniform, that's good.
Yeah.
And they have got a lot of kids.
Well-loved uniforms.
My grandson started doing that this year too, and it's just fantastic.
That program has really been solid in numbers, almost too many sometimes, to be honest.
Right.
For running around the community. Yeah.
That's true.
The high school had a choir retreat in Dodgeville, so just a time to get together, build some community, and make for a stronger team. So it's always a great experience. Heard great things about it. The lumber milling, of course, was featured in the Thistle, a wonderful article there. Had some people from DeForest come and observe, some students there. They also wrote an article in their paper about it.
It
about their
sounds like they're gonna
experience.
be able to, through cooperation with our kids, they're gonna do the same thing out there.
Yep.
Or make an attempt to, anyway.
Bad pun, we're on the cutting edge again.
Oh! We definitely are.
But we are, yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
Take your cupcake away.
You know, when,
We're gonna cut the cupcake.
Try it.
that's another collaboration with the village that's
Yes.
nothing but A+ for both sides.
Well, it's just putting things to good use, right? And then getting them in the hands of kids and saving money at the same time.
Saving 30 grand.
And teaching them skills, great skills.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Homecoming court, you've heard about homecoming, and it's just a really positive group. Had a lot of fun, that's for sure. And the parade, of course, which you were all in one shape or another. Whether you were dressed like a pig or just walking out,
Okay, so
handing
I'm
out
dying to know,
stickers.
was it a big pig or a little pig?
It was a little pig.
I saw a couple of little pigs.
Medium,
Yeah.
I'm gonna medium-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, it
But
wasn't a baby, it wasn't a
massive
baby.
pig.
like this.
Yeah, it was small.
Whose pig was this?
I
remember.
somehow
Didn't
connected
Matt
with
Shanky-
Matt Shanky.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think.
Yep.
His father-in-law or something?
I think
Yeah, I
bigger
think
pigs
so.
can be scary spooky. Be a
Yeah.
little
Like the
ornery, and I
baby
think
guy,
that's
I
why they
guess,
prefer the
so.
You
smaller
kissed a
ones.
baby pig?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it's just like
I
so
didn't,
cute.
I didn't
They're
earn the
really
right.
noisy.
but
Oh, really?
They are really noisy.
They are really noisy.
Yeah.
Anywho, Optimist September Senior of the Month. So Sophie recognized here amazing accomplishments, and for October had Maddie Boehm was recognized as well. I mean, these two kids to start off the list, young adults, to start off the list for the Optimist Club is whew, gonna be hard to top.
Okay, cute
They
little story.
basically blew the bar off.
Yeah.
They did.
That was
Wow.
happening.
Cute little story about Maddie. She was doing a Facebook Live video during, not this past Friday's DECA tailgate, but the one before.
I saw that.
And she's doing the Facebook Live, and I tuned in. And all of a sudden, Air Force One flew over. And she was like, oh my gosh, look at the plane. It was the most adorable thing ever. But yeah, Air Force One
Very
flew
genuine,
right over her.
yeah.
So genuine, yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Very sincere moment. It was pretty cool. Of course, you saw this and heard about this, I'm sure. Peggy Halverson, after 30 years of driving bus, retired and had a nice send-off with students and recognized by Nelson's in the district for her great service for many years. I forget what the numbers are. They were included in there, of how many miles.
It was incredible.
Well, yeah, it says up there 550,000 individual student
million.
pickup and drop off.
Wow.
That's wild.
And her husband drove for probably, I don't know, 15 or 20
At
years.
least, yeah. Part of the institution, for sure.
You bet.
For sure. Custodian Appreciation Day. I mean, I've been in a lot of schools, and I challenge anyone to find buildings that are as well kept, given the age too of many of our facilities.
For real.
So, take a
Trouble is,
lot
they
of
make
pride.
buildings that are falling apart look brand new.
Yeah,
Hard to sell, we need a new one.
yeah, that's right.
But they're just good folks.
They are.
They're
Yeah.
wonderful with
That's
some
for
of the
sure.
kids and everything else. They do more than just take care of our buildings.
They do,
True.
they do. Sometimes give a superintendent a pep talk.
Aw.
When necessary. And of course, here we are, School Board Appreciation Week. Yay, congratulations to you. I just appreciate you all so much. You give so much time and dedication, and especially, these last few years, you have learned a lot about state funding and the community engagement, and it's hard. It's hard. And know that you are appreciated not only by me, but by the rest of the staff and the community as well. And I hope they tell you that often.
Just to
They do.
compare and contrast, during my first term, first 3 years here, I would say we had minimal outside work. Minimal, compared to what we are doing right now. It's all meaningful, but you're right, it's a lot of hours,
It is.
but it's well worth it.
It is. It makes a difference. You're making a difference. And I think that should be my last one. And then, so appreciate you. And then in terms of other things coming up, we've got tomorrow, as we mentioned, the Greater Dane County School District Consortium, Governance Consortium. Whew, it's a mouthful. Is meeting, so we're meeting with some other area district and district leaders tomorrow night. Sixth grade does not have school on Wednesday, so that, sixth grade students, so they, because a reminder, they start a day earlier than seventh and eighth grade, and then after Timberly, they're Timberly tired, we call it. So they need some rest. Leif Erikson Day is coming up. The Inclusive Park ribbon cutting is coming up this week on Wednesday at 3:15 at Wabisa. On Thursday is World Mental Health Day. We have a referendum information session at 3 o'clock at the Municipal Center. Friday is National Coming Out Day and Yom Kippur. Then we have Indigenous Peoples Day, Christopher Columbus Day, National School Lunch Week coming up. White Cane Awareness Day, I think that's another one of those days that we recognize through our state. White Cane Awareness Day.
White cane?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Deal with those folks who are visually impaired.
It must be visually impaired, right? Wouldn't that make sense?
That would make the most sense, probably.
But that's a new one. That's not one that I know.
No.
So I'm gonna look into that a little bit. These are these things that we are learning and growing. Unity Day is wearing orange because it is Bullying Prevention Month. That's on the 16th. National School Bus Safety Week's coming up. We have our annual meeting, of course, on the 21st. And a reminder, usually what we do is a shortened regular school board meeting at 6 o'clock before a 7 o'clock annual meeting. That concludes my information. Do board members have anything they would like to share?
I had one thing that I noticed Friday night at the game, and it's a group that has really been outstanding for a long time now, but I don't know that they get the appreciation or that some of the other athletic teams do, but our dance team is really excellent. They are really, really good. And I think people appreciate it, but I don't know that that appreciation gets back to the kids and the advisors. But I'll tell you, I was impressed. They really do a good job, and I'm sure they put a heck of a lot of hours into those rehearsals as well.
Oh, yeah.
Lexi Ramirez she's been the coach for the last couple of years, and she's just done incredible things.
Outstanding.
They do so many camps, and I just love the dance team.
They do
But I mean,
very well in
they
these
do so many
competitions.
camps during the summer, and they do a lot of team building, and I think we're really starting to become known as a really great
Yep.
school for dancing, which is fantastic.
I think one of the things I really noticed was their role in the pep rally. And how exciting that they were. And when you're down on the same level, because I was kind of standing there, it's pretty impressive. Like, it's pretty powerful how in sync they are. It's one thing to see them from a distance, but when you're there, it's like, whoa, I'm like staying back.
Well,
You
and
did
the
a
way,
nice
the
job
way,
filming that.
the way they work with the mini palms,
Yeah,
it was amazing. I mean,
that's true.
It was
That's a
just a
special-
really, really good night.
Future teachers.
There we go. There we go. Okay, moving on. Dates, action. Yeah, go ahead. We've got Angie Bazan and Chris McGrath here this evening to talk to us about the high school international trip program travel request.
I just have to say, this thing looks amazing.
You can come
The
with us.
floor is yours.
I have a French minor from college, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm not sure if I can see that far,
The
so
floor
I have
is
mine
yours.
here too.
That's good.
Doing this. You all know my name is Angie Bazan. This is our request for the next international trip that we started when I came to McFarland. These are pictures from the trip that we took this past summer. Chris was one of the teacher chaperones that went with us. On the left are some of our students and staff members who we were at a Greek dinner and dancing night outside the city of Athens, and they had got to try traditional food, and then some of them got dressed up in traditional dress and learned to dance, and we got to throw the plates and the opera and the whole thing. And on the right is all 102 of us in Rome on the last night that we were there. I'm going to need this. So just a little bit of background on the information. I created this international travel program when I came to MHS in 2014. I had taken 2 previous trips, so I've been doing this for about 15 years at my previous school. Since I came to McFarland, we traveled to Greece and Italy in 2016. We had 22 participants. 2018, we did London, Paris, and Madrid, and we had 65 participants. COVID threw us a wrench, so we ended up pushing things back to 2022, where we went to London, the Loire Valley, to the beaches of Normandy, and up to Paris, and we had 68 participants. And then just this past summer, we had 102 go with us. So this program has grown tremendously over the last decade since we started it. And we actually had 120 signed up this last time, and then, through changes, kids transferring schools and whatever, we had some people drop out. So in total, I've taken 257 participants on adventures around the world over these last 4 trips. On this trip to Greece and Italy this past summer, we received so many compliments from our hotels, our tour guides, about how great and how wonderful our students were, which is a really good, speaks to our students and how well they are behaved around the world. They were fantastic. So we open this trip to anybody who is a current 8th grader, 9th grader, or 10th grader, because we won't go until June of 2026. So the end of next school year. And we do it so far and ahead of time so that kids can spread out the payments and they can earn part of the money through fundraising, because it is not a cheap experience. And I think it's really important for kids to be able to earn part of that. I think the trip means a lot more to them. We only take current 11th graders who will then be seniors if they have traveled with us already and kind of proven they can behave, because we didn't do that a few years back, and we had some students make some poor choices, and they had already graduated, so we decided to change that. Next one. There is our very own Joel Zietzma, who, didn't he do the splits or something? He was, and one of our students, Matthew Sturts, when we were in Athens. But I started this program because I had the chance to travel when I was a student here at McFarland many years ago. And it really brings our classrooms to life. Especially, we open it to any students in the high school. You don't have to be in a particular class or any club. I think, sometimes the kids would say, oh, we're going to the city. And I'd be like, oh, like you're going to Chicago? No, I'm going to Madison. Like, that is not the city. They just really need to have that experience to open up their eyes to that there's a whole world outside of the places they're learning about in a textbook. We really want them to be able to see and experience those things. They learn to be independent from their parents for those 9 or 10 days that we're gone. They have to learn how to pack. They have to navigate. We rode the subways. They have to do time management. They have to deal with a roommate. They learn different cultural experiences and language and all of those kinds of things. They tried lots of new foods. So they really immerse themselves into these different cultures, and they get to see all these amazing places that they've been learning about. So next, we've also seen a lot of kids who have come back and wanted to go on and travel in college and have done semesters abroad and so forth. So these are some of our pictures just from this summer. There's a group of us at the Colosseum, some of the food we ate. The kids in Sorrento, Italy, was kind of our down in the middle time between Athens and Rome. They got to go swimming in the Mediterranean one day. That was many of their favorite favorite days. That was the view from our hotel of the Acropolis, all lit up at night, from the rooftop of our hotel, which is pretty darn cool. And the kids got to climb up to the top of the Acropolis and see it while we were there. Next one, just more pictures of our kids experiencing, making new friends that they may not make here in school because they're not in the same classes or so forth. Eating real pizza, not Pizza Hut. Mr. McGrath is our food connoisseur. He ate his way in gelato through Europe this summer. So it was just a phenomenal trip. So I think the next one, I did a survey of all of the students and parents when we returned, just to kind of get their thoughts and perspectives, and so I won't read you all of this, but 100% of the students and parents felt that they got a good value for their money, and that the trip was worth it. They seemed to like the food, but they wish they could flush toilet paper, which they could. They just took the warnings to heart that, in many other countries, they don't use paper as much as we do, and they're more conservative. We visited in Sorrento, we visited a small farm, and they ate dinner on the farm, and it was all made from food grown there on the farm, including they had cows, and they made mozzarella in front of us, and then we ate it for dinner. They grew the lemons and the basil and all of that good stuff. They loved the free day in Sorrento. They loved the Delphi Museum. The Vatican was very interesting to many of them. My favorite one is the last one. Sorrento was amazing, and the Pope's house was dope. So the Pope was not there when we were there, but they did get to see. They did get to see that. So. Yeah.
Right? He's got the rhymes down.
You never know. We definitely stimulated the European economy when we were there with trinkets to bring back. So next. The company that we have used for all of these trips is ACIS. I have worked with this company since 2012 at my old school, and I trust them completely, which I have taken myself and my daughter on these trips. They're the leading educational trip company in the United States, in the world. They were amazing to work with us when COVID happened so that people could receive refunds or whatever, and they were not out money when those things happened. We have had kids get sick. We had to Chris got to take a student to the hospital on this past trip. She just was taking some medication that made her very sensitive to the sun, and in traditional teenage fashion, didn't put on sunscreen. So they're phenomenal in taking care of. We never saw a bill for any of that, and they took care of everything for us. There is another travel company that is more of a budget company, and in my experience, you get what you pay for. When I traveled with that other company, my very first trip, all of the people on our bus got food poisoning. We stayed 2 hours away from the cities. It was just a different experience. So I'm very pleased with this company and how they take care of us. Everything is included in the fee. So there's no, you get there and, kids need money for this, or, kids need money for this. It's all included. And they have guides with us that are local guides that live in these places. So they know kind of the hidden off the beat paths, places to take us to, not just the tourist places. We had a guide, Giannis, who was from Greece, and he was our specialist. And we had one from Italy who was our specialist in Italy. So it was very cool. They knew how to get around some of the lines and take us to some of the very cool places. So our next trip proposal is Paris, Switzerland, and Munich. This is a 10-day trip instead of 9 days like we went this year. And we're looking to go June 15th to the 24th in 2026, right after school gets out. I don't know that a month will make a huge difference, but it was really hot in Europe in July when we were there. It was 102. Yeah, so we're going to go right when school gets out. This trip will take us, we begin flying straight to Paris, where we visit a lot of the highlights like the Arc de Triomphe, the Louvre. Notre Dame is set to be reopened by the time we go, so they will be able to go in and see that. We have booked tickets to go into the Eiffel Tower to the top, viewing would be included in our trip. And then we also do a riverboat cruise in the evening on the River Seine, and then they see a lot of the highlights, and they also can see the Eiffel Tower light up then at nighttime. In Paris, the second day, we also go to the Palace of Versailles, where we tour the palace and so forth, and then they have rental bikes, and they get to ride the bikes through the gardens. Yeah, we've done that before. It's very cool. They have little rowboats you can rent and row through the lakes and so forth. I remember Miss McAleer getting serenaded on a boat the last time we were there. In the evening, we go to a Roaring Twenties Art Deco restaurant that serves traditional French food for the kids to try. And then we will take the high-speed train to Engelberg, Switzerland. And in Switzerland, next one, we will take cable cars to the top of Mount Pilatus, which is where students can, if they want to, you can see on the left there, they have toboggans built in that go down the side of the mountain. I did not do this the last time I was there. I was a big chicken. But they can have the opportunity to ride the toboggan down the side of the mountain, and then they hook a hook to you, and they pull you back up to where you started at the top. But it's very cool. You know, you ride the old cable cars up, and you feel like you're cooler as you go. There's mountain goats. It's literally people living on the side of the mountain, and you wave as you go by. That's the Lion of Lucerne up there in the right corner, which is another famous landmark there. And then they get a day to kind of go to Lake Lucerne and have some downtime before we leave the next day for Munich. And on our way to Munich, we stop in Liechtenstein, and we visit Crazy King Ludwig's castle. It's called Neuschwanstein Castle. It's the castle that Cinderella's castle is fastened after in Disney World. But we go to the actual castle, and then we spend 2 days in Munich, where we visit in the city center of Munich. It's called the Glockenspiel. It's a big, almost like a life-size cuckoo clock, but with human statues, and it goes off every hour. And there's a lot of local vendors and a little marketplace that they can visit. And we will go to the Dachau concentration camp, where kids can pay their respects and learn about that part of the Holocaust in history. And then our very last day, we travel to Salzburg for a day, where we follow in the steps of The Sound of Music. And we get to go to some of the different places from the movie and the real-life story, which you may not know is not the same as the music, although the Von Trapps were a very true family. And we go to the birthplace of Mozart. There's a Mozart museum that we will go see. And then Salzburg literally means salt mines, and so we go to visit one of the salt mines, which is a big part of the city and was used during World War II as well to hide a lot of precious artwork and things down below the city. We finish off with a traditional Bavarian meal before we fly home after 10 days. So the trip cost has increased from when we went in 22. The total cost of this trip is $6,200, which is about $1,000 more than the last trip. I was shocked, I'm not gonna lie, but the cost of travel has skyrocketed, as I'm sure you all know. It's an extra day, and they also include all the tipping fees and everything in the total cost now, rather than asking kids to pay that later.
The flights and such?
The
is it
flights,
pretty
the
good?
hotels, like there's so many more people traveling now that COVID has kind of simmered down, that the demand is just, it's skyrocketing.
Yeah.
But the trip, what I like is it includes everything except lunch. So all their breakfasts, all their dinners, all their hotels, all their travel, buses, high-speed trains, airplanes, museum admittances, airplanes, all of that. Taxes, fees, tips. It does, every day we're traveling, so they stop and eat lunch wherever they want along the way. Invariably, somebody has to try Taco Bell or McDonald's in another country. But we try to get them to try a lot of the local foods, which they love. We ate a lot of, in Greece, what's the, gyros and kebabs and Greek salads, and a lot of pasta, I think, on this last trip. Gelato, I think some of them were floating home on gelato. So I worked with ACIS. If we sign up by November 1st, they get a $300 discount to sign up ahead of time. They get a discount if they sign up for like automatic payments every month. That reduces it a little bit. We are committed to continuing to fundraise as much as we can to help kids and make it more accessible to more kids. Last trip, we sold over 8,000 candy bars in the spring and another 8,000 candy bars the year before. So we sold over 16,000 candy bars in the last 2 years. Sheila Fay and I made a trip to De Pere, to the Saruji's Candy Bar Company, and filled her car to the brim with 8,000 candy bars and drove them back. We already have a fundraiser set up to kick off November 4th, right after the deadline that we've done every year with the Cherrydale Company. We are a registered group with Bratfest. So every year, anybody who wants to can volunteer at Bratfest, and they can do it both summers, and they earn $10 an hour. And so I always use the example, a few years ago, we had a student, she signed up and she worked 40 hours in one weekend, and so did her mom and so did her dad. So in one weekend, they earned $1,200 towards her trip. It's a lot of work in one weekend, but it's doable.
That's nice.
We've
Probably
reached
never
out.
wanted to see another bride.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. We've reached out to UW Concessions to see if we could sign up for a booth there to offer that for kids that wanted to. Obviously, with the increased cost of the trip, we want to offer as many opportunities as we can. Next. So the next steps are really just, I'm here tonight to get official approval for this opportunity. Tentatively, we're hoping to hold a meeting this Thursday night with interesting students and families. If they sign up by November 1st, they get all those discounts. We've kind of made the executive decision as chaperones to limit this trip to 2 buses. We had 3 buses last time with over 100 people, and it was doable, but it was a lot. When we got to Sorrento, it's such a small village, we were split into 2 separate hotels in 2 different parts of the city. And the kids still had a blast. And the kids actually said they didn't care, but as adults, we just think it would be a little easier to manage our numbers if we limit it to 2 buses. So the first 82 students to sign up, we will take. We're going to offer the trip to students first to make sure they get the opportunity. And if after November 1st we haven't filled it with students, then we'll allow parents to go. There are parents that are already emailing and asking if they can go with their child. And we really want to make the students priority. So we want to give them first chance at doing it. And then we start teaching them about Paris, Switzerland, and Munich. Do you have questions for us? Or do you have anything?
I don't know how you do it, because you teach full-time, you too, Chris. And this is so much work. I don't think the public, there were comments this summer like, oh, the school is paying for this. I'm going like, no, these people are organizing this stuff on their free time, on their weekends to try to fundraise to help these kids. It's incredible what you guys
Yeah,
are
I
doing.
just want to make it clear that school does not pay for
No.
any of this. We don't get paid to take kids or do this.
And you go out of your way to try to help those kids who probably would never be able to afford this.
Yeah,
And I think it's really important
Yeah,
for people
and
to understand
that's
that.
why we do it, It's all
Yeah.
about giving kids exposure to the world that they live in. And like I said, for a lot of them, they end up going back or going abroad during college or, just really getting excited into some of these things that they may have never seen before. Do you want to see? This was the first time Chris went with. He's always said I was crazy, but.
I always said you were crazy. I'm a convert now. I think just seeing how our students interacted with local cultures and the way in which they kind of stepped outside their shells, I think it's very easy to look at our kids and be like, oh, typical McFarland kid, these typical McFarland kids, what they did over on this trip. Yes, it's a travel trip. It's like, I remember there was an alley we walked down in Rome, and on one corner you've got the Italian army is setting up a checkpoint to bust illegal immigrants because the current prime minister is, that's her whole shtick, is she doesn't like illegal immigrants. And on the next block, there's a woman who's an African migrant, and she's got 2 children who should be in school, and instead they're begging for money in a doorway. And just seeing that juxtaposition, I think that really opens some eyes for our kids. I think it's a really powerful experience to see the world beyond the zip code.
Or when we.
Incredible educational opportunity that
It is.
I think probably a lot of the kids won't understand for a time, but when you think back on that part of your educational experience, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, that's the value of sending that many kids, and just put them right into the middle of these cultures and such. And if they take advantage of the opportunity, it's just amazing. And I don't doubt that it's worth every penny.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of money.
And it is a lot of money. It
to
is.
raise.
Absolutely. And I will say, this last trip that we took, it was not just, let's be fair, there's a lot of privilege in McFarland. And it was not just those kids that got this opportunity. There was a lot of kids who worked really, really hard to get there. And was probably a once-in-a-lifetime experience for them. And so it really is, we work to try to make it applicable to any kid who wants to make it happen.
So with that same idea, I love travel. I think the whole international aspect is fantastic, but like everyone has said, it is expensive. Have we ever talked about doing a national trip, staying within the US, maybe doing like Grand Canyon, Four Corners, something like that?
We haven't, just because the music department already does that. And we don't really want to step on their toes. The music department goes opposite years that we go to places in the United States. So we have offered the international, which is something that wasn't happening when I came here.
Are non-music students able to go on those trips?
I don't believe so.
But I think the diversity that they're getting going to another culture is it's wonderful. And I think some of these kids, you may say it's a once in a lifetime, but I bet you a lot of them realize that their eyes have been opened and they will never.
I have no doubt some of them will find their way back someday.
Exactly, that's what my feeling is too. I also wanted to say, it's really nice that you have the multi-age, because it's really good. I always thought kids can be, sometimes a kid, you go like, oh boy, are we gonna be able to work with this? Are we gonna be able to trust this kid? They become sometimes the best, role model and guide to some of the younger ones. And it's like, both are benefiting. The younger kid is like in awe, and the older kid is suddenly having to step up to the plate and grow up. And it's just it's a great experience.
You also get kids who probably would never hang out together in school.
Right.
Together for 10 days,
Yeah.
and they're playing cards on the bus, or they're swimming down in the beach, and they really kind of get to know each other.
There's
while
great
they're there.
value in that as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and they bring that back with them when they get here.
I bet.
If you talk to Officer Ziesma, I think he enjoyed it. A lot.
It was so fun. And I think it's a cool story, he'll probably never tell you this, but he brought McFarland Police Department patches and went to every police officer we could find in each country and was swapping them and getting patches from all those different cities.
That's big in
And
Europe.
brought them back. It was very, very cool.
Yeah.
That's very
Are
cool.
there scholarships available for kids?
We have talked about that in the past in these meetings. I know that the music department tried doing like a class immunity to see if people in the community would donate to help offset, and they didn't really get anywhere with it. So I'm willing to try something like that. I just don't know if it would work.
That's interesting, though.
What about the ratio of chaperones versus?
We take one chaperone for every 6 students.
Okay.
So we each have between 6 and 8 kids, I think we each had last time to keep track of.
Haven't
So-
lost any chaperones yet?
Nope, not yet.
Well, that's
yet.
encouraging.
And we've lost no kids. I always tell the kids we're coming home with exactly the same number, no less and no more either. So we check on them every morning, make sure they're awake and up and moving. We check on them throughout the day. This year it was very important. We pushed water on the kids because it was so hot, and we mended a lot of blisters and gave a lot of ibuprofen and tummy medicine, and we're their parents for 10 days, and just like we would be here at school. So we take care of all that they need.
Thanks.
Yeah. I won't lie, it is a tremendous amount of work, but it's very rewarding to get there with the kids too. It's so fun to see them excited about these things, so.
Yeah.
You wanna?
Well, it's on our form.
You're welcome to.
I'm sorry, you
No,
do your
no.
thing, I'm sorry.
No, we're good. We're good.
I move to approve the MHS international trip for the summer of 2026 as proposed.
Thank you, Bruce.
I will second it.
Thank you, Megan. C. Any further discussion?
I'm just grateful we can offer it to the kids. My kid,
incredible.
it was definitely
Incredible.
life.
Yeah, your kids
Changing.
went this last summer.
Did.
And I think this is an opportunity, it's a way for some kids to raise funds, for example, in our household. I mean, if a kid would sign up to shovel our driveway.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
That would be, or to cut the grass, all summer.
sure.
That might be some more
And we
opportunities.
share those ideas with families,
You
and
do.
we, we helped, a lot of kids decided to write letters to all their family members and said, hey, for my birthday this year, I'd really like money towards my trip, or a suitcase, or, things, I'd like to forego some of those other things, because I really want this experience.
Enterprising.
Is there a
That's
deposit
fantastic.
needed?
There's a $200 deposit to sign
Okay.
up for the trip,
Okay.
and then after that, they can decide how they want to do it.
Okay.
They can do it monthly, they can do it quarterly, they can do it all in one lump
You
sum.
administer all this?
I do not. The company does that part. I
Okay,
keep track
good.
of all the fundraising on my end. I keep a spreadsheet of who earns what, doing everything. And then I send a check directly to the company and debit each person's account before their final payments are due. So last year, I think I sent ACIS a check for $24,000 some dollars that kids had fundraised. Some kids go hog wild and some kids don't. It's just it's a preference with their family.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep that clean record. Come back with everybody you left with. Next is action on application for girls hockey WIAA cooperative team renewal. Okay, any discussion? If not, I would look for a motion.
Well, just, Aaron, do you know how many girls at this point we have?
For this season, we have one.
Just one, okay. Because I was reading through
All right.
it's a great experience. Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Can you
I'll
can you
second.
state the motion?
I will. I move to authorize the attached girls hockey cooperative team renewal as recommended by administration.
And I can second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Action on 2025 to 2027 66.0301 Girls Hockey Cooperative Contract. Discussion?
It's very similar to what's been done in the past, right?
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
that's
the
what I thought.
contract is similar, the districts are the same.
Yeah.
Stoughton's continuing to be the organizing
Good.
group, or the host group, or whatever they're called.
I would look for a motion.
I will move to approve the 2025-2027 girls hockey 66.0301 cooperative contract as recommended by administration.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0, and I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I can do that.
Thank you, Bruce. Do I have a second?
I can second that.
Thank you, Megan. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0, and we are adjourned at 8:34.